Education is the most powerful tool to shape a nation's future, and its strength lies in the hand of its leaders. Today, I have the honor of hosting Professor John Akec, Vice Chancellor, University of Juba, one of the most influential voices in higher education in South Sudan. Under his leadership, the university continues to navigate both opportunities and challenges in a growing country like South Sudan. Professor John Akec, it's a pleasure having you. Welcome to the Deeper Conversations with Willma. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for hosting me.
It's quite hot these days. What do you have to say about that?
Well, it's we have seasons. We are now transitioning into rainy season. Yesterday we have a bit of rain, and I think we have a lot of humidity today, indicating that there might be a rain on the way. So it's a blessing.
Yeah, I think so. They say Juba is hot, and even the economy is hot right now. What do you say about that?
Well, you can express it in a way you want. It doesn't change anything.
Yeah. All right. Looking back at your term in the office, what challenges did you identify at the university? And you getting back right now, congratulations, by the way. It shows that you have a great impact in the nation, and having you is always very educative and is a progress to the nation. How does it feel being reappointed again?
Yeah, I think I was, thank you for your congratulatory message. I thought that I had 10 years and I was very happy to go. However, I continued to be interested in education. I was a professor at university, teaching, lecturing. Then when I called back, I felt there is a need to continue what I was doing. And I consider myself lucky to be given so much opportunity to do things at the University of Juba. I think we are used to short-term, somebody's given 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. I think those short terms, like 5 years, 4 years, even 10 years is not enough to have achieved long-term goals. And going back, I think I had, in 2015, I launched a 15-year master plan, which was with 11 strategic goals. And we have achieved some of them in 10 years. So for me, I'm actually have the last leg of it, which is like the next 5 years, 4 years. We will be finishing the 15-year master plan. And the priority in this time are to improve staff welfare and student welfare, to also consolidate what we have. We have expanded from 10,000 in 2014. Now we are about 40,000. So, and many schools don't have their own, spaces. And that is something we need to address in the next 4 years. So consolidate what we already have. The other third goal will be digitalization. That means, campus management system, learning management systems, exam processing, and so on. And also better digitalization libraries that should be online. Those are some of the ambitions we have. And then deepening research. So those are 4 goals for the next period.
What are the biggest challenges facing the University of Juba in a growing country like South Sudan?
Yeah, what has been facing us is that the number of students and programs are expanding faster than the infrastructure that we are developing in terms of lecture halls, library spaces, internet capacity, even power. So we need more resources to be able to maintain operation and to make sure that everybody has a nice desk to sit on, and facilities like labs and so on. So those are the challenges in the face of dwindling support of funding. Right now, the bigger funding used to be salaries, but salaries right now are not coming, and teaching is still happening. So you would be asking, how could we continue to teach when people are not getting salaries? And so we are switching now to giving them more incentives than depending on salaries. So that's how we are coping, but it's not easy.
The salaries part is quite very important part because the lecturers are the foundation definitely for the university to keep progressing. So what are the new strategies that the university is addressing to make sure that it's well taken care of?
Yesterday we had vice chancellors of public universities who were meeting, and 2 days ago we met with the vice president for services cluster, His Excellency Hussein Abdulbari, and we raised these challenges, and we agreed now to compile our priorities. We have different priorities based on the size of university and location. Some universities need to maintain students on board, things like feeding. There are issues with mobility. Of course, salaries are very high on agenda. At the same time, the salaries have lost values, for example, because of inflation. So what you get eventually is very little. But on top of that, they continue to pay salaries, but they are not accessible. Some banks, you can go and wait the whole day, and you only get 20,000, which would not give you anything out of your salary. So that is the challenge. And we are compiling, writing to His Excellency, the President of the Republic, through the Vice President. And once requesting audience with the President and raising these issues, but in writing. So it's a common problem.
Right. You did outline some of the challenges facing the university. Looking at the students themselves, what have you observed as the Vice Chancellor of the university? What are the challenges that the students always complain about?
I think I have just come back after 21 months of absence.
Right.
A lot of issues that they complain about was waste management and cleanliness of voice rooms, lecture halls. They complain about the lack of internet. The bandwidth that available now is not strong enough to cover everybody. The students also complain of absence of the teachers, of the lecturers, because of course some will struggle, with accommodation. Yeah. So I think that is those are some of the, but also they struggle with they struggle with payment of their fees.
That's a very important area that I think.
Yeah. So now when I came and reviewed the fee payment, there were some colleges is range from 90 to 70% have either paid their fees, have paid nothing, or only paid half, between 90% to 70%. If you break that thing down, you'll find that only 25% have paid their fees, and about less than 30% have paid half the fees, and between 45 to 50% have paid nothing. So that is also a challenge. If they are not paying, we will not be able to provide internet, provide power, do the maintenance, and develop the infrastructure. So they are all linked together. Yeah, their challenges transmit directly to challenges for a university to be able to operate.
What's your feedback on students' performance?
You mean academic performance or financial
Yes, payment? Not financial, academic performance.
I think the way I cannot really measure it directly. The issues that I inherited have been delayed in academic year. Last year it took them 7 months from taking the final exams of final semester exam in order to be promoted next year, between 6 to 7 months of delay of processing, and that is to do with a very antiquated, exam processing system that we use. Is very manual. And so students do complain a lot about that. Regarding the performance is very difficult to measure in terms of you will have people failing, people passing, and the only way of knowing, measure it sometimes is how your students are doing, graduates are doing in the world out there. And University of Juba has a lot of graduates already, so that are doing very well, in the world. So I think we are producing good product. There was a case recently I highlighted. One of the students I came to know from School of Medicine took professional exams in which is administered by UK Medical Council to in order to for them to gain membership of British Medical Council. And it's actually there are examination centers globally. There's one in Nairobi, and this student went. He passed the English test. He's a student of graduate medicine, and he also passed the first part one of that professional exam, which is very hard. It is academic. It really tests you from first year to sixth year. So they can ask you any question, and he passed for the first time. Some people struggle to pass that, so it really means and that student never left the country. Was 100% educated here. So it means there is quality there.
There is quality there because the reason to why I did ask about the performance and what your feedback is as the Vice Chancellor, University of Juba is always, if you observe media, they always have something to say about university. I mean, students from University of Juba, they try as much as they can to get that mistakes from them to make it a topic, to trend. How do you sometimes look at that?
It's natural, really. And sometimes people just make jokes, really. And, when it's not only about language, it's also about the knowledge that you have. So if someone make a grammatical error, it's not necessarily a problem with University of Juba. It's necessarily a problem of education as a whole, because literacy and basic maths are something that you should have before you come to university. University does not teach you for language. It only those who are interested in languages will go there. And those who are interested in the languages are also good because they have been, that is their subject. So some will go to engineering, some go to medicine. They may not be like very proficient as you might expect because of the education that they got. And here we got a mix of people who go to private schools, some go to schools in East Africa, some were educated in Europe and they come to study here. So it's a mix, really. If you go, you'll find a wider spectrum. Yeah. We as a country, we have not really measured literacy. I mean, the level of literacy in school, do we have a standard test to measure? We don't. So, and if you know, generally, most of the schools now, what we call schools, primary, secondary school, are private. And the public, there are a few public schools, but they really struggle because the best teachers may not be there because of pay. While private schools have, best teachers because they are paid and the student pay higher. So the courses of literacy, University of Juba course has a lot of the students, like over 40,000. So it's bound that you'll be trying to sample that, but it's not true. There are very good people there, but also there are people who will be struggling with language. And you find it in all universities, not just Juba.
Not just Jama Juba.
Yeah.
It's always a conversation when you mention Jama Juba. Whenever we have amazing graduates coming out, there's always something that needs to be brought out to make a joke out of. But that makes University of Juba as one of the recognized and respected universities in Africa. Looking at that, why is the University of Juba interested in managing Juba Teaching Hospital?
Yes, we didn't. We asked for partnership to begin with, and that is something not new. It goes back to 2021. We want a place where we'll be able to teach our students where there are good practices in terms of patient care, with simple things like how the ward is organized, with simple things like, whether hygiene is in place, with simple things as how privacy is protected, with simple things like creating a ward environment. For example, you have a children ward. It should be put in certain ways, like which will inspire sick children, and so that practices will go into hospital if we have partnership. And of course, when we have partnership, it means that some of the resources that we have will go to improve the wards and practice, and we will also contribute to management and organization of the hospital. So I think partnership will bring in knowledge of management, experience of management, and also resources, and may also mobilize resources for the hospital, because then partners may be interested in improving the education, medical training environment. And so that is why we are looking for partnership, and we are not getting it.
Is there any positive outcome that you see coming up?
I have to be positive that any message that is said today, it may not happen in my lifetime, but it will happen when attitudes change. So it will happen anytime. If it is ignored today, then 30 years down the line, or 10 years down the line, 15 years, it will happen.
All right, and we hope that we get a feedback that would definitely contribute to the positive impact of the nation itself, and not just the university or the hospital. Professor John Akec, let's look at technology. You did mention a number of things that needs to be improved. How's the progress of the University of Juba when we look at technology, and how easy is it contributing to the life of the students or the university itself?
Yeah, I think we have come a long way. Those students who studied earlier, 2011 to 2014, up to 2020, they will see the difference, the progress that has been made. First of all, the numbers of hours of electricity has increased dramatically. Recently, we are having challenges, and we have a lot of, and that's to do with power shedding by the supplier. But we were among the first institution to subscribe to the JETCO electricity, and at the moment we are, we face cuts from time to time, and we use generators. Now, when you have power, it means that your computers will be active now. Before, in 2014, we had only about 6 hours of electricity. So we can open it in the morning for a few hours, open it in the afternoon for a few hours, and you don't have the electricity for the rest of the day, whether it is in the hostels and the staff residence, or whether it's in offices. Now you go, you find normally you see lights on, you see computers working, printers, photocopiers. So that is the progress. The other one is that we have a Wi-Fi, which was initially covering all the campus. After I left, I don't know what happened. A student complained that they don't have it. Perhaps because of the line number, it had been focused in the specific areas. So, for example, if a student is in a lab, like the main lab, they will have fast access to internet through their laptops. I mean, not the laptop, the desktop that they have. The staff also have access to internet, Wi-Fi that is provided by university from main campus to the STEM center to Western campus. Now, that also allowed us now to have virtual lectures. So you've been to university, either main lab or Senate Hall or Dean's Boardroom and other spaces within the schools, you can have virtual lectures. We can use Zoom. We have our own Zoom account which we use. We can send links, and people can have public lectures or have lectures. So we have people teaching from as far as Harvard University and University of Makerere and other places who are visiting. They come here sometimes, but most of the time they will be teaching wherever they are. And so this is for us is good progress. So moving forward, we are trying to improve the learning management systems, a better exam processing system. Now, we, if you know, the results are put on board. That is not what it is in the region. Your results will come to you as a person, as an email, and you have your own account. You log in, and your result will be available.
Nobody sees it.
Yeah, nobody sees it. But here, you see that, and you can complain. You say, who got A's and who got F's, and you compare yourself. And so that is something we are trying to change.
Okay, how does the University of Juba compare globally in research, science, and technology?
Yeah, for sure we are behind because of relatively we are young. We are 50 years last year. I mean, since we are established in 57, but the history is a very troubling one. The university had to relocate to Khartoum at the end of 80s, where they spent like 21 years before coming back in 2011. And leaving campus, a new campus, which has become now University of Bahrain, a living assets, staff and students. So we are, in that sense, we have not have a very smooth, operation like others. Then the other thing is that we suffer from funding. We don't get much, government funding for research. Let alone that the low salaries meant that those who are capable will look for elsewhere. There are a few who are staying, but others will actually look at greener pastures, and that will hurt the research profile. If you see globally, there are, especially in the developing countries, there's a lot of funding to research. Here we really get zero funding from the government, and so the funding that we got towards research would come from donors like Norway, projects where people will do PhD and then they publish. So donor funding will be driven by donor interests and priorities. But funding from government will address the national priorities in terms of policy, the research that will provide informed policy. So if you look at the simplest rank, for example, University of Juba will come, something like 7,000 out of 14,000 universities. So we are halfway. So when you say out of 14, using Unirank, the latest for the last year, we were 7,000 out of 7,000 out 14,000 universities global. So it means there are universities which are, that is not where you shouldn't be very proud about that. You know that you have a very long way to go. And in Africa, out of about 1,000 universities, we are about 300. So we are, you can say we are in the top 300 still. My ambition was for us to be in top 100, and that is going to be very tough because you need a lot of support and you need an excellent environment that is conducive for people to do research. And universities alone cannot do it with the current fee structure. Students are paying very low fees, and if you raise it, in many places, students get a student loan. So even if the fee would be 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. They will take a loan to do that. Here it is not possible. It falls on the students. So you are constrained to keep the fee low compared to the region and globally. And that would hamper research.
You mentioned more than once that there is no funding from the government, and this is a very important concern that needs to be recognized and given attention to. What do you think is the challenge that the government is not paying attention to that?
I would not be able to know. Only the government will answer that. For us, we would love the government to prioritize funding. The other thing you find that this is very common in the African nations, where either the research towards the support research is either very small in the budget or non-existent. So we are not alone. And this is something that has been hammered to African governments, including our own, that to fund research, because that research will inform development and will inform policy, whether this is agriculture or it is medicine or it is industry. So research is very important for and also for innovation. Finding problems, scientific problems that will solve the national problems, whether this is in agriculture or water or industry. So I think it is the government to all we need to do is to say it. Why they're not doing it is them to answer.
If you have a message to the government concerning that today, what would you say?
I have just said it. The government would be interested in economic growth, whereby the people welfare is there. When economy grows, when people are producing and productivity is up, it means that there's high earning. Say for industry will grow, there'll be power, there'll be jobs, and prosperity will spread. And that is good for the politics, it's good for the government, it's good for elections. It's also, that should be the aim of politics. You go to politics in order to serve. So you need citizens where the prices are, things in the market are affordable, where people pay a living wage, something that can sustain their families, where also if you go to hospital, either you are insured, because you got good salary and social insurance, you will get, free or subsidized treatment. You go to schools, you find that the schools are people loves because there is a government support towards that, or the taxpayer. In fact, government does not, the government cannot actually create money out of nothing. In fact, government is there as an organizer of the citizen. It organizes citizens to do, to help themselves. And so you actually collect enough taxes and use those taxes to, say, provide education, free education. And that when it says free is because sometimes students say, University of Juba is a public university. Why are we asked to pay money? Now, when it is called public, it means that the government is paying. It's paying on your behalf. It's paying for the labs. It's paying for operation. So either you pay nothing, like it's happening in Ghana, or in some places you get a student loan, which you pay later on. So these are different ways and models where the government can, but also to improve innovation and industrialization, the government also support applied research that will enhance the quality of the products, will enhance the quality of health, and also protect environment. So there are a lot of things that the government does, but it is not the government. The government is not something that can create money out of thin air. The government is to organize the people to help themselves and make sure that they are responsible and coerce them, to pay their taxes. But at the same time, it is a social contract. Those taxes must be recycled back to provide service. And that's why, for example, at the University of Juba, as a small institution, students have been happy that, whenever they pay their fee, something is happening in terms of cleanliness, in terms of development, in terms of the environment, teaching environment. So it creates them, when you come to press them, they do understand. The same applies to the country. When you are providing roads, you are providing education, and you tell them that it is from you and it's going back to you, and you show that, not by words, but by deeds, then you will have what they call a virtuous cycle.
Honorable Adud Salfakir Mayardid, Senior Presidential Envoy for Special Programs, did pay a visit to the university. What did that mean to University of Juba?
Yeah, it was very great gesture, really, an encouragement for her to give us that surprise visit. We didn't have much time to prepare, but it was good that we were prepared anytime for anyone to see. We don't have to make additional preparation. We have to be seen as we are, and it was good for us as the administration to brief her about the history of university over the last few years, especially after coming from Sudan, the challenges that we overcame and the challenges that we are still facing, and the kind of support that will help us if it comes from the government. So it was most encouraging, and for her to go back and be able to be a voice for us. Yeah. So.
That's quite nice. We did see you. Tifa had a lot to say, and we hope that this visit comes out with something very impactful to the university.
Yeah, I think eventually it will. We are hoping. Yeah.
You did outline the challenges that the university is facing financially. How is the university running? How are you managing it while knowing that a major challenge is the financial part, which is supposed to be the support to the system?
Yes, I think when I came, there were a lot of challenges. There was little money, nothing much really in the account. And I did the statistic because I see how many people are paying and what percentage have not. What I found was very horrifying. And we really put a lot of pressure on students to pay. And we tie the payment and clearing their fees with the examination. And it allows some students actually to comply. A good number have complied. Still, some have not, but we were flexible for them to sign and to undersign that, that the commitment letter that they are going to pay. And so what we do with this money, we do maintenance with money. We also pay a staff incentive. For example, we pay money for invigilation. We pay money for exam supervision and invigilation, for project supervision like final years, undergraduate, but also for supervision at master level. We have over 5,000 students studying at master level and over 38,000 an undergraduate, including diploma. So there are privileges. There are percentages that go back to the schools that own master program from the graduate college. So, for example, they get 20% of what is raised. So this money, when I came, I found that there's a lot of claims that have not been paid for over 3 years, and that had dented, the morale of the staff. And we start from what we were able to collect. Now we have been paying, and so there are dues also like operation. We also have maintenance. Again, we have been able to pay some of the things, and I think we are moving. We are doing well.
It's nice that you mentioned the staff are doing their best even when there are not salaries or payment. What would you tell them today if they watch this interview?
What I will tell the staff?
Yeah,
I think even when I was out of the job of vice chancellor, I was teaching, like one of them. I would buy my own chalk and our marker pens and wiper. I would look for a space where, if I found the space is not good, I would look for another alternative space to teach students. So I was using whatever I get from my consultancy towards that. And I'm happy that we still have exams. We are doing supplementary now. Most students have finished their exam. So it's really a miracle that even when we have not got, and when I was not vice chancellor, after I vacated, I will drive into the campus and I feel the students inside being taught by people who are not really getting salary.
And that's amazing.
That is amazing.
That's amazing.
It's a commitment, really. And teaching is a calling. And so we still do, and even graduated. We graduated a group last year. That is a product. So this is really, we can say, a tribute to the spirit that universities are displaying. Yeah. And I pray that the government will meet them halfway and not rely too much on volunteerism, because it can actually produce mixed results. People may be willing to come, but sometimes they don't have money to come to university or to come and give their lectures, because that day they have nothing, because they have not been getting salaries and the salaries are not enough. So we don't need to rely on that. We don't need to think this is the way of the future. We have to solve this issue of salaries and arrears and pay them a living wage, something that will be able to for them to handle the market. Yeah, if you are what you head of a household, now the money that you left at home in the morning, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, will not be enough now to provide anything when you come back. If you leave that money, so for your family, will not feed your family. So that is the same apply. The purchasing power is very important. Money has to be. I give you an example. When I came back, I found that the cleanliness of lecture halls was very wanting. You go, you get bottles, you get water bottles drawn down, you get, black bin bag, everything. And we have over 450 cleaners. And the place was not clean, especially lecture halls. You see the campus is clean, but you go inside. So what we did, I had to meet with the senior management. We had to meet with the workers and their unions, and especially cleaners. Suppose most of them are ladies, and we asked the question, why the place not clean? Of course, they talk about lack of incentive, lack of transport allowances, and lack of equipment. Now we were able to give them new offer, and it was really juicy. We said that we will organize you. Every lecture hall will have names on it. You will be supervised, and we said we'll give you an incentive, which was 100,000 a week. That is 400,000 a month. This is like $60. Basically, you are on the what you call poverty line. And if you make your own effort, you will be actually the thing, because people are improvising, then you will actually live above poverty line. Supervisors will be paid about 150. And this is what we said. Now, if you go and look at the lecture hall, and if you knew it before, lecture halls are very clean right now. And it's because of the incentive we provide. And this, I cannot maintain this incentive unless the students who have not paid pay. And we need to improve the efficiency, so that in the past, when I was in my first and second term, we used to have something like at the end of the academic year, you will have 15 to 20% only would not have cleared their fees. So we said, okay, and some of them would have paid half and they still left with something, at least. So we tell them, okay, you block the result and let them in. But now when I came back, it was 70 to 90%. That is huge, basically. So only very few students are paying and the rest are just free. You go to School of Medicine, it was 10% who are paid. Can you believe it? And we have large number of students in the School of Medicine, and they are being educated. And medical education is very expensive. So we need a change of mindset. The money that we collect from them is not too huge. It's actually manageable. Even if they say people are not getting salary, you had use your assets to raise that money. So, so that's how we are trying to improve things.
It takes a lot to be a science, or let me say a medicine student, and also IT. They have a lot to do with practical work instead of just oral conversation. How are they doing?
Yes, I think that's one of the reasons why we wanted Juba Teaching Hospital to be better managed. Because they go and practice there. Now, if we cut corners, okay, in terms of cleanliness, in terms of hygiene, in terms of routines that, then what are they learning? If the place is where the student or somebody who just graduated, like doing housemanship, just works alone with no supervision, what kind of person we are training, what kind of medical doctors we are training. But yet this is the situation now. You go there and you have no good resources in order to provide, the health service. And so you can work until you burn out and so on. So that is why we wanted to improve for medical students, that we, university, together with the partners, whether it be that the ministry, the current administration, and the partners like WHO, Global Fund, that we have a board there, and university also has a voice, and university will also bring their own resources, a few resources into the wards to improve, and also the knowledge, the organization, how we can put routines, and also we can come with a business plan which means we have a kind of recovery, and that will make hospital. Yes, it may not be like, hotels like Nile King or something like that, but it will be a place that is reasonably clean, but where you get committed people, where you get good practice, and it will be actually first choice. When you go there, you pay very little, but then you get very good, very good treatment and care, which is better than the what you get in private. In private, even mistakes are not. If you have a public teaching hospital, the mistakes, medical error, will be minimum, because we will share. We'll be able to monitor and say, okay, this thing, if you have this kind of situation, it has to be handled this way. And if mistake has happened, then the information. That's the way medicine is practiced. So you cannot. But if the knowledge, even mistakes, are not brought up and discussed, and then circulated so that they don't happen, then we will continue to do the same mistakes, and a lot of people will lose life. And this is happening in private sector now. I don't think there's a feedback. There's no sharing of knowledge. So what happened will happen again, and no correction. But the public has always been trusted, although it's seen as less efficient, but it is necessary in critical infrastructure projects such as, hospital like Juba Teaching Hospital.
All right, Professor John Akec, does the University of Juba provide scholarships?
We provide internal scholarships to staff. If a staff have spent like a year, 2 years, teaching, like teaching assistant or a lecturer, and had been for several years with us, and if they enroll on a postgraduate program, then we will, and if they're academic staff, then they have a right for complete waiver. So we waive their fees so that they can, some do PhDs, some do, but they must be staff and must be academic staff. If you are not academic staff, then we give you a discount of 25%, and you are our staff, but you are not academic staff. Because in a sense, is maybe we think that you're in terms of academic qualification, you don't need postgraduate, perhaps. So if you want to improve yourself, then we can support you in a sense that we reduce the fee by 25%.
How about very well-performing students?
At the moment, no. There's no. If a well-performing students, usually well-performing students are taken as teaching assistants. Yeah, if you do very well. But also, if you are at master level and you do very well, and your school recommend you, you can be appointed as a lecturer. And once you are a lecturer, you can benefit from scholarships. Some of the scholarships also come from the donors, for example. Some scholarships come from East African community. And they say universities, target universities, staff. So we nominate people there to join that. Some come from countries like Norway, for example. Norway has been supporting higher education for a very long time. And there are the scholarships. African Development Bank also have training. So who is trained? When we train you, when you go on a scholarship to university, well, we expect you to come and simply give back, to students here. That is the aspect that we do.
South Sudan being a country that is struggling financially, we have students that do very well coming from the States, for example, trying to find a space to go to school within Juba, the capital city of South Sudan. Is there any future plan to maybe provide scholarships for students that are seeking scholarships within South Sudan, especially the University of Juba?
Let us not, universities globally, when they give a scholarship, it means there is fund. And the fund usually comes from outside. I also give you an example. We have China has been giving us, very small grant, and that grant is given to students. So their students are actually paid, their fees are paid, and we give them back the report. So things like that do exist. If somebody come, like recently somebody came and gave us, like $20,000 dollars, we are planning to look who actually needs it. So we take the money, but what do? We waive somebody's fees. Many of them, there's enough that can fit in. So that is the way universities give scholarship to good students and struggling students, where there is a way to monitor, the situation of the student. Now, what you have is normally you get that in many places, any student will have advisor. Okay, the advisor will know their personal advisor will have a number of students, and that the student will raise the issue, and there will be fund. That fund will go to those who need it, either in terms of bursaries or in terms of paying part or full their fees. So I think that's what it is. Oil companies, for example, GPOC and SPOC has been sponsoring the students from Unity State. Although last time they delayed, some of them delayed, and some have now paid. And so that is like a scholarship, but it's coming from, somebody or organization.
What role should universities play in promoting peace and national development in South Sudan?
Universities work indirectly, to begin with. We have Center for Peace and Development and Security Studies, which is training, people in areas of peacemaking, in areas of development, in areas of security, and areas of humanitarian. So your late dad was the one-time director of that. So it's the people who actually we train, and also we do research. The research will inform policy. And if it's to do with security, if it's to do with development, if it's to do with peacemaking, again, that research will be applied. So that is how universities help society. And it's by building the capacity of people who are responsible for policy, so that they follow evidence-based policies that, when you do something, you do it because you know that, there's a research evidence that, or that this has been tried and it was successful. And what has not been successful, you need to avoid that. That's how we contribute to peace and development.
It's a pride for me to be able to have my late dad, the late Professor Samson Wasara, mentioned in platforms that are very educative, and especially by you. And of course, as we are coming to the end of this conversation, what message do you have for the people of South Sudan?
Yes, I think I don't really have serious message apart from saying that I was able to provide to them information about the university, the challenges that the university is facing, and how it can be supported by encouraging parents to pay the fee for their students, and also by encouraging the government to be able to provide research fund. So we will be able to produce research and papers that inform policy. Those are the things that are important. And to invest in education in terms of good lecture halls, good laboratories, better training for medical students, partnership with, but also we as universities, we can organize seminars addressing national issues. For example, if there are economic challenges, then universities can organize seminars and bring together experts to advise the government with something that is well tried, so that we can emerge from the current economic challenge. This is what university can contribute.
Before we step out, I think one very important question and concern, Professor John Akec, you're one of the recognized and respected people in higher education in South Sudan. If we are to learn from you, where do you see the University of Juba in 2 years?
I think 2 years is a short time. It's a very long, short time, and we are really thinking about doing something in 4 years. But what I see, well, there will be a lot of progress as usual, and what we hope, and that has been our philosophy, was the question of continuous improvement, so that what you have this week is better than last week, and this next month will be better than this month, and next year will be better than next year. So that is what we do. We have a lot of things. I have outlined that we want to improve the welfare of the staff and the student in terms of their spaces. We're building things, it's better student spaces. We're trying to build hostels or improve the hostels that are there. We maintain them. We are looking on how the land of University Park can be invested in terms of hostels, in terms of health spaces, especially the customs. We are looking forward to fully digitize our operations. And we are also part of the research that we want to do to give a percentage, say like 10% of what we collect towards research to improve the research, ranking. We want to build better library. We have a lecture hall complex which hosts Mayadi Academy for Space Science, but also we have already laid the foundation, and hopefully in 2 years' time, I hope that lecture hall complex will be up, and that will be, it will have a library that will host something like 1,000 seats. Now, if you go to University of Juba, you find a lot of students are not studying in the library; they are studying in the lecture halls. You just go and observe that. But hopefully, if we do that lecture hall complex, which I started, people are asking me, why did you start? We have already laid the foundation. We spent nearly $1 million, for that foundation, and that is there. But it stopped while I left. We are going to go back and be able to raise it. It's a G+7 building. 4,000 students will be taught there. There are other spaces for food courts, for libraries, for shops, so that there are also social spaces. So let's see. It will be interesting. We'll be able to make progress on our strategic plan, which we are planning now for the next 5 years. We have already started laying a strategic plan where we identify areas of focus and where we see where the resources are coming. So University of Juba in 2 years will be much better than University in 2026, I hope.
We believe in you, and it's the reason to why you are given the assignment to carry on again. Thank you for having time to be part of this platform, and we cannot wait to see the university achieving more. And it was definitely an honor having you today.
Thank you for hosting me.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for being part of the Deeper Conversations today. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok platforms. And remember, this episode is sponsored by True Juice, Dr. Sen, South Sudan, Breeze of Joy. Stay tuned for the upcoming episode. Stay tuned.